Hello friends, my name is Marista and I am the magical creatrix behind Black Vegan Travels. I like to crochet in my spare time, so I thought I would share a simple winter hat crochet tutorial with you since the colder months are coming up. All you're going to need for this project is some yarn, of course, a tape measure so you can measure around the size of your head, a hook, and if you're not sure what size hook you need, the paper that wraps your yarn will have the hook size on there, whether you're knitting or crocheting, so just look out for that on that paper. You'll need stitch markers if you're a beginner, so you know where you started and where you end, and you end up with an even line on your hat. And you'll also need scissors at the end to cut your work when it's time to finish up, plus a sewing needle to sew in the end thread when you're finished. So let's get started. Okay, so our first step is going to be starting the chain, and it's pretty simple to do that. We're going to make a slip stitch by wrapping the loop around twice, and then you're going to pull the back over the front, pull the back over the front again, and pull it under, and stick your hook through that top loop and pull it tight. And there is your slip knot. At least this is how I do my slip knot. People do them different ways. So after you get your slip knot on your hook, we're going to start making the actual chain. And we want to make 15 inches of chain. The longer your chain, the taller your hat. The shorter your chain, the shorter your hat. Simple as that. You're going to yarn over, which means taking your yarn and pulling it over the loop that's already on the hook, which is called the working stitch. And you're going to pull that yarn through the working stitch. And that is your first stitch. So just keep doing that, pulling over and pulling through, pulling over and pulling through until you have 15 inches of these stitches. And I'll show you when we get there. After you've used your handy dandy tape measure to make sure that you have 15 inches of stitches, we're going to go on to the next row, our first actual row of crochet. So you'll see I have one loop that's right up on the hook, and then the one next to it. We're going to go into the one next to it. So not this first stitch, but the second stitch. You're going to go into the top of that stitch, and you'll have two loops on your hook. 1, 2. You're going to pull over and pull that top loop through the lower two loops. And that right there, we go. This right here with the two loops on top is your first single crochet. And that's what you're going to stick your stitch marker into to make sure you don't lose your place if you're a beginner. So I'm going to stick the stitch marker into both of the loops on the single crochet on top. 1, 2, how do you do? Okay, so yeah, you'll see the single crochet has two loops. And I'll show you again, just to be sure. You're going to continue making single crochets all the way down until all of your stitches have been filled with single crochets. As you can see, I'm almost finished, so let's do these last few loops together. And there you have it. You'll stop in that last loop. Next, you're going to chain 1, so just wrap it around and pull through the 1, And then you're going to turn your work from one side to the other so that the back is facing you now. And you're going to do exactly the same thing you did in row 1. You're gonna go through both loops now though. In round 1, we only had one loop because it was the base chain, but now you can see at the top in the single crochets, there are 2 loops, one here, one on the top here. You're gonna go through both loops. Skip this chain that we just made and go into the first single crochet with 2 loops. You go through both of those loops and pull through both of those loops. Just like before, you will have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through those 2. This single crochet is where you're going to put your next stitch marker so you don't get lost. So once again, go through the top 2 on the single crochet and pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook and yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. You're going to do this all the way down your chain until you get back to that first stitch marker. Once again, I'm only a few stops away from the end, so we'll complete it together. Once again, you'll put your hook through these 2. Wrap your hook around. Pull it through. Wrap your hook around. Pull through both loops, and ta-da, 1 loop on the hook again. So let's do that for these last 2 stitches. And there you have it, rows 1 and 2 complete. For row 3 and 4, we're going to be doing something a little different. So I'll show you what to do next. We're not learning how to switch colors today, but I want to use another color because I think it will be easier to show you what to do for the next 2 rows. So pretend it's still the white loop. You're going to chain 1, just like you did on the other end. Turn your work, and this time, instead of going through both of the loops at the top of the stitch, you're going to go through the back one, aka the one farthest away from you, the one closest to the opposite wall. So you'll go into it, back loop only, and you'll do the same single crochet, pull through, you'll have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through those 2. And you're going to do the single crochet in the back loops only for the entire row for the next 2 rows. Row 3 and 4 need to be done like this. So into that back loop, pull through, yarn over, and pull through both of those loops. And you'll have your next row of single crochets in the back loop only. And I will see you after both of those rows are done to show you what row 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 look like. And then we're just going to repeat rows 1, 2, 3, 4, with 2 regular rows of single crochet and 2 rows of back loop single crochet. In order to figure out the width of your hat, aka how many rows you need to make, you're going to want to measure around your head to see how big your hat should be. So you'll just take a tape measure and do that. Go around your head, and whatever number you land on, that's what you get. Crochet as many rows to reach the amount of inches it will take to make your hat fit comfortably around your head. For me, that was about 22 inches of alternating rows, the regular single crochets and then the back loop double crochets. I did it in different colors so it would be easier to tell the difference. Our next step is to fold and sew the ends together. This is the inside of the hat and this is the outside of the hat. You can tell because the outside has these ridges from doing your back loop double crochet. What we're going to want to do is line up our ends together, and we're going to slip stitch across the rows in order for them to close up. Now we're going to fold the hat inside out for this. So you flip it right on around, and you'll try to line up the stitches from your very first row with the stitches from your very bottom row. If you're not sure how to do a slip stitch, I'll show you how now. You're going to insert your hook into the last loop from ending your crochet, and you're going to go back into the row that you just did, both of those loops, and instead of pulling through, you're going to find the matching loop on the end on the other side. Chances are you're only going to have one loop, and you're going to stick it in there, and then you'll yarn over and pull through everything, including the loop that's on your hook. You're not going to pull through, yarn over, pull through. You're just going to go through and pull through everything. So I'll show you again. You'll go into the next set of loops. There'll be 2 on the side that you just finished, the newest row, and then on the first row you'll find the matching loop, stick your hook in, yarn over, and pull through everything, and this will start to seal off and close off your hat. We turn it inside out because it's going to look neater on the other side, on the outside, if you do it inside out. So you're going to keep slip stitching all the way down until you reach the other end. I'll show you a couple more times just to be sure. Put your hook through both loops on the last row and the loop from the first row. Pull through everything until there's one loop on your hook again. And once again, as you can see, this is starting to close up the hat. And I will meet you on the other end. Once you've got your slip stitches all done and your hat is sewn up, you'll be able to pull it inside out, and this is what the seam will look like. We're going to cut the tail end of this string really long because we're going to cinch together the top of the hat. So let's cut a nice long tail so that we can do that. And you're going to sew it in with a sewing needle with a fairly big eye so you can actually get the thread through the loop. So you'll have a loop still on your hook from where you ended. You'll yarn over and pull it through just to secure the knot. Pull it tight. And then you'll want to get the end of your yarn into that needle. Okay, yarn is in the needle. And what you're going to do is sew it through on the outside of some of these rows so that when we pull it tight, it'll all start to come together at the top. It's just a small example, but when you pull tight, it'll start out loose, and then when you pull tight, it'll start to cinch. So we're going to go all the way around the rim of the hat so that we can cinch it all together. Yep, you see? So let's do this all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end. Alrighty, so I've sewn all the way around, and you'll pull it tight and you'll see it gets pretty tight and close together, but there is still space at the top that we want to sew up because this is supposed to be a winter hat and we want it to keep our heads warm. We don't want a hole in the top. So we're going to continue sewing, and all we're going to do is go back and forward across the top, sewing through to close off that opening. It doesn't really matter, like you don't have to go in a certain hole or anything. You just want to go across the top to close it off, to make it as tight as possible. I'm going through a lot of layers of hat, so it is going to be difficult, but it'll be worth it. Yep, you'll go across from one end to the other. And you'll just continue doing that until it's as tight and closed as you want. Once you've got it all sewn up and tight, tie it off with a knot for good measure. And when you turn it inside out, you'll see that you've got a closed off top and a hat with a brim that you can flip up to any length that you like. Now I'm going to show you how to take care of literal loose ends like this and the one on the inside. So, since your thread is still in there, you're going to find a matching color. Chances are your hat's going to be all one color, so it won't be that difficult. And you're going to run the thread down through the stitches until it's an inch or two in, maybe 3. and then you'll cut off the excess and it'll be hidden inside. So you'll run it inside the stitches here. If on the off chance you do have more than one color, try and do it in a matching color. That way it's more easily hidden if it pokes through on the other side when you're sewing. And you can see the thread is going to be tucked under these and hidden away inside, so it's not going to show. Your work will be hidden. And it'll keep it from coming loose when you wash it and as you wear it. These are a bit tough for me since I've got multiple threads in here. It should be easier for you to slip them in and hide them away. And then you'll just cut it when you're done and you'll have a disappearing thread. You can't see where the thread is hidden sewn in here. And that's the point, it's to hide it away. So do that for any loose ends that you have. And if it's too short to sew in, just cut it off. It's why we knot it off at the beginning. It's all woven together, so it will be okay. Here's the finished hat. If you want it shorter and not so tall, all you have to do is measure your initial chain length shorter. Instead of 15 inches, do 13 or 10, anything that you want. And I guess if you want to make it longer, then just crochet a longer chain stitch. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial video and that you practice making this hat for yourself or another loved one. And yeah, enjoy winter, enjoy this market, and thank you so much for being a part of it. I've been Marista for Black Vegan Travels. Check me out and check out all of the wonderful other hosts and guests and creators that we have for the wellness market this winter. We'll see you next time.